So we've written these processes and we've talked to you about them. And many of you have been applying them. Esther has applied every one of them. She loves the processes. In the beginning, it was pivoting. You know what you don't want, you know what you do want. When you find yourself talking about what you don't want, stop and say, hey, I know what I don't want. What is it I do want? And if you catch it in the early subtle stages, that is a very simple thing to do. But if you've been talking about what you don't want and 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 what you don't want, so law of attraction has given you feedback about what you don't want and what you don't want and what you don't want and what you don't want. Talking about what you do want in the evidence of what you don't want feels foolish to so many of you because you want to face reality. You don't want to tell fictional tales. And we say, yes, you do. You really do. You want to practice the vibrational frequency of wanted rather than practicing the vibrational reality of unwanted if you want your reality to shift from unwanted to wanted. Another momentum story. Imagine your car at the top of one of those hills in San Francisco. The parking brake isn't on. The car is out of gear. And you decide, as Esther and her friend did, to just see what you can do with this boulder. So you just nudge your car from behind. And then you realize as it starts to move what is going to happen. So before the momentum gets really going, you change your mind, you step right out in front of it, the car bumps up against you, and no problem. But if you waited until the car was rolling down the hill and you're at the bottom of the hill trying to stop that momentum, not a good idea. And sometimes, even in the application of processes that we are offering you, there's so much momentum going that any attention to the subject just perpetuates the momentum, or you get mowed down by the momentum that is already there. So we are suggesting a new approach to this business of deliberate creating. And we want to tell you something that most people have not considered. And once you consider it and understand it and begin applying it to your own experience, it's going to serve you better than anything that you've ever applied before in terms of being a deliberate creator rather than a creator by default. If you can accept that you are a vibrational being living in a vibrational universe, and that in thought there is momentum, and if you can accept that in that thought that has momentum, that as you slumber while you're asleep, the momentum stops because your point of attraction stops when you are not consciously focusing. When you wake up in the morning, your momentum, your point of attraction, is at its slowest. And that is the opportunity for you to begin a new thought. Now, that means when you wake up in the morning, acknowledge it's a new day. Your momentum has ceased while you have been asleep. And that if you care about getting some momentum going in the direction of wanted rather than unwanted, that's the best time to do it. So a couple of months ago, Esther and several others began doing that. And on the first day, Esther didn't even make it till breakfast before the negative momentum had begun again, as she began thinking about things that she'd been worrying about from the day before. But after 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 days, she had a better handle on it, and she was making it through breakfast and well into the time that she was checking email. In other words, once you begin to find the thoughts that feel good, and do you know why the thoughts that feel good are your indication of momentum? Because you were source energy before you came into this physical body, and the larger part of you still is. So when you, in your physical form, focus upon something with your physical brain, with your physical focuser, when you focus upon something, you activate a vibration because of that focus. And that activation that you've activated because of whatever you're giving your attention to has a relationship with the focus of the source within you. In other words, you have 2 vibrational vantage points all the time. Humans call that your soul. Sometimes they call it the God force or source. We've been referring to it as your inner being. But this non-physical energy, this vibrational being that is you, this eternal you, is pure positive energy. There is no resistance in that vibrational aspect of you. You're the only one who can introduce resistance into the equation. You're the only one who doesn't love you because the source within you does. The source within you loves those that you hate, and that's why hatred feels so awful within you. You empty yourself out of the source when you find a reason not to like someone.